Good morning. Here she comes. Tropical Storm Arlene takes aim at the Gulf Coast. Hope is still alive. Aruba's prime minister says finding Natalie Holloway unharmed is his top priority. And an Al Roker exclusive with the president, the first lady, and their furry brood.
You guys ever talk baby talk to the pets?
I do to Beasley a lot.
I will never admit it.
We've got all the poop today, Friday, June 10th, 2005.
From NBC News, this is Today with Katie Couric and Matt Lauer. Live from Studio 1A in Rockefeller Plaza.
And welcome to Today on this Friday morning, everyone. I'm Katie Couric.
And I'm Matt Lauer. Here we are 10 days into the Atlantic hurricane season, and we have our first named storm coming through the Gulf Coast area.
That's right, Arlene. And we're going to be talking with Al Roker about that momentarily. And then you're going to be focusing on the Patriot Act.
That's right. A new report from the Justice Department says that there were intelligence failures leading up to the days before 9/11 that allowed at least 2 of the 9/11 hijackers to operate in this country. Attorney General Alberto Gonzales will talk about that and also about the Patriot Act. Provisions of that set to expire at the end of the year. It's controversial. The president wants it renewed. Some civil liberties groups say not so fast.
And Matt, as you know, 11 days since Natalie Holloway disappeared in Aruba and went missing. 5 men have been taken into custody. No one has been charged with anything. This morning we'll talk with her father, Dave Holloway, about the progress of the investigation and how he's coping through all this.
Ryan Horton is another name. Remember, he's the 17-year-old boy who was bitten by what experts think was a great white shark off of New Jersey just about 5 days ago. Well, he ended up getting a nasty gash on his foot. He's here this morning to tell us if he thinks it's safe to go back in the water.
Plus, we're going to have a day in the life of a paparazzi. How do these guys do it, and how do they live with themselves, I guess, is another question. We'll have that for you in our 7:30 half hour. And then the Backstreet Boys are hitting the plaza. And by the way, there's one of them, and by the way, looking good. A lot of people showed up at 3 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday. Yeah, boy, he's all grown up, isn't he?
Yeah, huge crowd outside, so we're looking forward to that in our 8:30 half hour.
I think the term teeny bopper no longer applies.
Before we go any further, though, let's come back in the studio, get an update on what happened, or what is happening with Tropical Storm Arlene. Al Roker's here for that.
Well, the forecast was it was going to be a very active season. 15 named storms. We got our first one. This is Tropical Storm Arlene, right now 10 miles south-southeast of the western tip of Cuba, moving north-northwest at 8, 45-mile-per-hour winds. And this storm, the path of it goes just to the west of Cuba as Arlene makes its way toward the Mississippi-Alabama coastline. It will probably make landfall sometime late Saturday night into early Sunday morning with 65-mile-per-hour winds and a lot of rain, and that's going to be the big problem, the storm surge and the rain. Katie?
All right, Al, thank you very much. And now let's turn to NBC's Janet Shamlin, who's in the watch area. She is in Gulf Shores, Alabama. Janet, that area has been hit before, hasn't it?
It sure has, Katie, and this morning this community is still dealing with the devastation left from Hurricane Ivan. That was a Category 3 storm which came ashore here last September. This morning from the Florida Panhandle to New Orleans, sandbagging and other signs that the Gulf Coast states have learned the lessons of last year's hurricane season. Emergency preparedness centers are gearing up for Tropical Storm Arlene as well. Many will be open around the clock. And construction cranes still dot many communities. That's because 4 hurricanes last year, and many of these communities are still trying to pick up the pieces from that. Katie, they are not looking forward to what Tropical Storm Arlene may bring.
All right, Janet Shamley. And Janet, thanks so much. All right, well,
here we go.
Here we go. That's
exactly.
right.
Could be another busy season.
All right, let's get another check over. Let's get our first check, actually, of the morning headlines now from Natalie Morales, who's in while Ann is on assignment today. Natalie, good morning.
Good morning once again, Matt, Katie, and Alan. Good morning to you. Rough weather in other parts of the country as well. Tornadoes tore through parts of Kansas on Thursday. Officials say there was some damage and power outages. Trucks were flipped over. A school there was damaged, but there were no reports of injuries. One day earlier, a storm in Kansas produced a tornado and a rainbow at the same time. A newly released Justice Department report is faulting the FBI for missing at least 5 opportunities to uncover important information about the 9/11 terrorists before the attacks. In one case, higher-ups downplayed an agent's suggestion that Osama bin Laden was sending students to U.S. flying schools. And in another case, it said the FBI should have known 2 of the terrorists were already in the U.S. in San Diego. Well, today, President Bush meets with the president of South Korea. The talks are likely to focus on North Korea's nuclear program. The Prime Minister of Aruba now says finding Natalie Holloway is his country's #1 goal. The 18-year-old American remains missing almost 2 weeks after she disappeared. NBC's Martin Savage is in Aruba again. Martin, good morning.
Good morning, Natalie. Once again, today searchers will go out looking for 18-year-old Natalie Holloway, and the leader of Aruba says that hope is still alive.
5 arrests and 11 days after Natalie Holloway vanished, authorities appear no closer to finding her.
Activity yesterday, some possible excitement as a security camera at a gas station reportedly caught an image of what someone thought was Natalie Holloway. The family took a look at that video. It was not her. Natalie?
Very sad. Martin Savage in Aruba, thank you. The pilot of a small plane was killed Thursday when the plane crashed into a house in Texas and burst into flames. No one was inside the home at the time. 4 of the 14 people intercepted at sea this week in that floating taxi will be allowed to stay in the U.S. The others will be sent back to Cuba. The San Antonio Spurs are up 1-0 in the NBA Finals. Last night, they beat the Detroit Pistons 84-69. Game 2 is this Sunday night. It is now 7:07. Back over to Matt, Katie, and Al.
All right, Natalie, thanks so much.
Second time we get to talk to you this morning. What's the weather for the weekend looking like?
Not bad here in the Northeast. Our friends in the Gulf Coast and the South going to have to deal with the remnants, or really the beginnings of Tropical Storm Arlene. And we also have strong storms in the Central Plains, 2 to 3 inches of rain falling there later today. Severe storms from Texas all the way into the western Great Lakes, and clouds and showers in the Pacific Northwest. That's what's going on around the country. Here's what's happening in your neck of the woods.
Hear them, and they last into early.
All right, Al, thanks very much. On Close Up this morning, did the FBI drop the ball before 9/11? As we've told you, a new report from the Justice Department finds that the FBI missed at least 5 opportunities that could have uncovered crucial information about the terrorists before the attacks. Alberto Gonzales is the U.S. Attorney General. Attorney General Gonzales, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Matt.
What surprised you most about this Investigator General report? And I guess the question most people... Attorney General Alberto Gonzales. Mr. Attorney General, thanks for your time as always.
Thank you, Matt.
And now, here's Katie.
Matt, thank you. Now to the search for 18-year-old Natalie Holloway, who vanished in Aruba 11 days ago. That nation's prime minister says he is still hopeful she'll be found unharmed, even though 3 more men were arrested Thursday in connection with her disappearance. Dave Holloway is Natalie's father. Mr. Holloway, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning.
I know when someone asked you how you've been feeling in the last several days, you talked about how any parent feels when they lose.
Stormy weather, tornadoes in the south.